Professor makes average white student stand up in lecture, explains he has inherent benefit over a black student no matter what he does. Dr. Sam Richards, and here's what he has to say. Here's what he has to say. He's from Penn State. I just take the average white guy in class. Whoever it is, it doesn't really matter. Dude, this guy here? Stand up, bro. What's your name, bro? His name is Russell. Look at Russell right here. It doesn't matter what he does. If I match him up with a black guy in class, or a brown guy even, who's just like him, has the same GPA, looks like him, walks like him, talks like him, acts in a similar way, has been involved in the same groups on campus, take the same leadership positions, whatever it is. We send them into the same jobs. Russell has the benefit of having white skin. He wasn't done yet. Bro, how does it feel knowing that when push comes to shove, your skin's kind of nice? This is part of the reason why we have 3 flags in the United States. The LGBT flag, the Black Lives Matter flag, and finally the American flag. And I would argue the exact opposite, by the way. If a black guy and a white guy were in the same room going for the same job, and the white guy got hired, and the black guy even gets a whiff of possible discrimination, he is going to sue the company. With that in mind, who's more likely to get the job now? It happens all the time. This is from Vox. A black woman lost a job offer because she wouldn't cut her dreadlocks. Now she wants to go to the Supreme Court. This is back in 2018. Well, anyway, the Supreme Court, I'm reading an article from... It doesn't matter. I'm just reading an article and it says right here that the Supreme Court decided to ignore black hair discrimination. But anyway, to make a long story short, it had nothing to do with her being a black woman. It had probably more to do with having cut hair. It probably had more to do with cutting your hair being like part of the company policy or something. So the Supreme Court ruled that it wasn't racist, but that didn't stop her from trying at least to take it to the Supreme Court because she thought it was racist. But anyway, he responded by saying this. I don't know, it makes me feel sad. That actually happened in an episode of All in the Family way back in the fucking 80s or something. I don't know, I was watching a rerun of it. What's the guy's name? Meathead? Meathead and some black guy both were applying for the same job, and guess what? The black guy who wasn't Meathead got the job, and when the black guy left, the employer said to Meathead, "You know why I had to hire him." You've probably heard people say this before, but blacks and whites, they are treated equally under the law. Equality under the law. Legally, you cannot discriminate against someone. It's literally against the law. I don't know what else to say. An individual's, actions to hire/fire someone coincidentally just because there happens to be a black person or a white person in the room at the same time, it's not always race, is what I'm saying. There's no driving while black, there's no walking while black, there's no swimming while black. Well, again, I can't speak for every police department. Again, an individual's actions do not represent whether or not America is racist. If a white cop pulls over a black person, I don't know, odds are he didn't pull him over because the guy was black. It's not all race. It's not. Yeah, if a black guy and a white guy was speeding, that has nothing to do with race. It just has to do with, whoever the cop catches first, no race involved in that. Not everything is race, it isn't. I just came out with a bunch of meaningless hypotheticals. The point still stands, not everything is about race. And if you try to build the idea that America is a place where blacks and whites are not treated equally only because of their skin color, if you try to ingrain that idea in people's heads that America is not an equal place for blacks and whites, you are going to have more stories you are going to continue to have stories like this one. Viral video showing young boy pulling up an American flag and throwing it to the ground as a woman with him looks on and does nothing. That's literally the saddest fucking thing I've ever seen. When you ingrain the false message of inequality between blacks and whites, the treatment of blacks and whites, you are, I don't know, sending a message to all the young people that think this, different treatment of blacks and whites. And that boy pulled the American flag up and then threw it on the ground. That was him treating America like he was taught, I don't know, like a place that doesn't have equality between people. And races. That's the worst part. It's a white kid too. It hurts because you're teaching white children. This is actually being taught in elementary school too. You're teaching white children that they're going to be treated better than black children. And that's why he ripped out the American flag, because he thinks that, blacks and whites are treated differently in the United States, and they aren't. I'm going on way too fucking long for this, but all I want to say to end the video is these people clearly aren't going to stop trying to divide blacks and whites. They're clearly not going to stop teaching this stuff. Hey, can you please stop teaching critical race theory? Blacks and the whites are at a standoff. All of them have guns and they're going to shoot each other because of the race war that started. I don't think it's going to get to the point where blacks and whites are going to despise each other to the point of firearms. That was a bit hyperbolic, I guess. But they're not going to stop teaching it. Excuse me, could you not teach blacks and whites that they're treated differently? Thanks a lot. They're not going to stop, so we might have to take some drastic measures. For the good of the country, for the good of unity, we might have to take some drastic measures. A white boy ripping out the American flag and throwing it on the ground. That's really, really depressing. We must act. This stuff can't really go on anymore.